Some time ago, Joni Mitchell wrote a song. In it is a line that goes like this: why does it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? And maybe she was saying that sometimes we don't realize our greatest gifts until we no longer have them anymore. Why does it always seem to go that way? But maybe that's what Christmas is all about, to help us to recognize these gifts before they're gone. Because you see, the greatest gifts you have are not the ones you're about to receive. Think about it. The greatest gifts of all, you already have. That's right. Now, I got to admit, we are surrounded by Madison Avenue skills and advertisement that floods our lives with ads that tell us that we need the shinier, the newer, the bigger, the faster, the better than anybody else's item. And when we grasp for it and we get it, it still leaves us empty, and then it causes us to want more. Well, what happens is then we are looking for lesser gifts, and sometimes we have a tendency to discard the greater gifts that we have all around us. I mean, think about it. We're willing to wait all night at a superstore for a new video game, all night long in line, hours and hours, but we can't wait 2 or 3 more minutes for a loved one, and we get impatient. We spend 3.5 hours downloading tunes into our iPod, and we grumble about the Bible reading today. 3 chapters, that's like 18 minutes. And we grumble about the time that it takes God to download truths into our hearts. Think about it. We have a tendency to discard the greater gifts for lesser ones and then call it Christmas. We don't realize that. Gifts like what? Families, friends, relationships, the second chances that God gives us. Got to remember that the greatest gifts of all are not the ones we're going to get under the Christmas tree. The greatest gifts of all are all around us. I guess it's not receiving gifts, it's recognizing the gifts that God has given. Family, spouse, your faith, church, the Lord, your faith. Yet we still have a tendency to trade the greatest gifts of all for lesser ones and then call it Christmas. I guess we've been raised that way, though. We've been raised in a society that says, well, anything intangible is really not that valuable. Intangibles like relationships and friendships and your faith. They'll always be around. God will always be around. He doesn't need my commitment, my maintenance in any way, my service. Nah, He'll always be around. We think that way until it's gone. And then we wonder what happened. Esau was like that. Esau was Jacob's brother, older brother. And Jacob, the younger, was a stronger guy, but Esau was the older, so he was actually going to receive the inheritance of the family. He was to be the new patriarch. He was to oversee the family name. But he thought one day, I don't know about that stuff. That doesn't seem like a great gift for me. And he traded it for a lesser gift and could never then get it back. We do that how often? We take the greatest gifts of all, our parents, our faith, our commitment to God. We trade it for lesser gifts, and we call it this Christmas. It isn't at all. I remember when I was in high school, I really wanted a camera. I was a sophomore in high school. And now my dad was a photographer at the time, and he had 5 or 6 of these professional cameras. And I went to my dad and I said, hey, I want a camera. He said, well, these are professional cameras. I use them for business. And I said, well, you got 5 of them. Give me one. He said, no, I don't think so. And I thought I had the most selfish dad in the world. And I was grumbling about him being so selfish and not giving me a camera until about 3 days later. See, my parents had divorced and I was living in Oregon at the time, and my mom was here. She was in the hospital and she had some kidney problem at St. Francis up here. But a couple days later, I received a telegram in the mail that said my mother had passed away because of a kidney failure. You know, funny, as soon as that happened, I didn't want a camera anymore. I just wanted my mom back. Why does it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? The greatest gifts are the ones we've already received. Therein lies our future and our hopes and our happiness, but we often discard the greater for lesser and call it Christmas. You know, I recall in the Old Testament when Moses brought the children of Israel out of Egypt, they went 3 days in the wilderness, no water, so they were thirsty. They get to this lake, and the lake was filled with arsenic, so they couldn't drink the water. And they began to grumble at Moses. What'd you try to do? You brought us out here in the wilderness to kill us with thirst? Thanks a lot. And Moses cried out to God and said, God, what do I do? And the Bible says this, God showed him a branch. And he took the branch and put it in the water, and the water became clear, and all the people and the livestock were able to drink. Now, you notice if you read in Exodus 15, it doesn't say that God created a branch or made one appear out of thin air. It doesn't say that God transplanted a branch and brought it to Moses. No, it said he showed him a branch. In other words, the branch was already there. The answer to their problem, the answer to the death that was about to take place, the answer to all of their struggles was already there. But the people were too busy grumbling about what they didn't have that it blinded them to what they did have. And it was right there. Right there. The greatest gifts that we have are not the ones we'll receive, it's the ones we've already received. So I was thinking, you know, maybe that's what Christmas is about. Maybe Christmas is not about receiving gifts, it's about recognizing gifts. Because in those gifts may lie our future, our success, our potential, our hopes, and our happiness. It's the gifts we've already received. Why does it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? But I was thinking, well, there is a way. And maybe that's what Christmas is, to begin to recognize the gifts we've already received before it's gone and treasuring it. When you catch that, maybe that's what God calls Christmas.